on a good trail, you and I might do 15 to 20 miles if we weren't carrying a super heavy backpack and things like that. But going through cave passages?
Totally different.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. That'd be insane.
This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like trees.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring.
Because we travel to the national parks all the time, we have to record these podcast episodes a little bit in advance. So there's something that's happening right now that's really funny, but it will kind of be old news by the time you listen to this.
Okay.
But maybe you didn't see this, but if you've been on Instagram lately, there are posts everywhere. And maybe this is just me because I follow all the national parks and stuff. And so I see a lot of national park stuff. But there are posts everywhere that are saying that all of the animals are leaving Yellowstone.
That's so wild.
So what's funny about it, though, is it's like, I saw one and it was just like a herd of bison just like running.
Mm-hmm.
And then the caption's like, all the bison are leaving Yellowstone. What do they know that we don't?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I was looking at it and I was like, that just looks like a herd of bison. Sometimes they run.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the park, sometimes they run.
Weird.
I know.
So surprising.
I know. So anyway, the National Park Service is like coming back and they're like, hey, guys, our animals are still here. They're not leaving.
They don't have any insider information and the volcano isn't going to explode right now.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, I've just had a really good laugh about that this week. I'm like, what in the heck? What a funny thing. But it did spur a bigger conversation between John and I because a lot of those videos, and the National Park Service is coming back and the Yellowstone nonprofits are coming back and they're all posting just saying, hey, not true. And a lot of those videos are AI.
Right.
They're not even real videos.
I know, like you can tell when their tails are in the wrong place or the hooves are
they're
going
not,
the wrong direction.
But sometimes they're not. And that's the thing. I think that, when you're looking for information, it's hard sometimes to tell, but a lot of it is AI and AI generated.
Mm-hmm.
Even the wording and the captions and everything, like, my gosh, it's all over the place.
Just so much misinformation.
Yeah.
Because it gets clicks. It gets so many clicks. People are like, the bison are leaving Yellowstone?
Yeah.
What?
I know. Even I clicked on it. I was like, this is what? I've never heard anything like this. I got duped.
I know.
I fell for it.
It's hard. It's tricky to know what sources to trust sometimes.
So anyways, we just want to put in a little plug for ourselves. Insert plug here because we don't AI generate anything.
Right.
I use Grammarly to check my grammar when I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of keywording programs and stuff like that. But all of the information that we are posting on social and YouTube, everything, podcast, it's all us.
Right.
So I just want you to know, I don't like AI. I use it sparingly, very sparingly, because I want you to know you're getting information from an actual person who has been there, who has seen it, who has experienced it, who's done all the things. So anyway. And
you know where to go to get trusted information and good information. You're kind of in the loop with the National Park Service.
Yeah.
And any AI use that we do is just very task oriented. It's not aimed at generating the content that we share with you to help you enjoy your experience because the only information we know we can trust is the information that's in our heads.
I know. How funny is that?
And sometimes Ash
or
doesn't...
from people that we know, that we trust.
Yeah, and Ash doesn't even trust the information that comes from my head most of the time.
Hey, when we're recording these podcasts, if any of you, like, especially fun facts, sometimes John will say something and I'll just give him this look, like, across the microphones, like, really, John? Is that true?
And then I look back at her with a steaming glare. Of course it's true. I researched this. I know what I'm talking about.
And I'll stop him and I'll, like, fact check him sometimes. And it's like, oh, yep, you're right. Okay. Sorry. My bad.
Every once in a while, she'll catch me in something that might need a little bit more context than I'm willing to go into.
Yeah, it's more like he'll say something and I'll be like, no, that parking lot doesn't fill, early. It's okay. They can go at that time. Or, it's like something like that. I'm on the trip planning mindset and he's on the science mindset. And sometimes they don't coincide.
Yeah,
sometimes.
That is the truth.
Anyway, that's our plug. But I thought that was hilarious that people were saying that all the animals were leaving Yellowstone.
Yep.
What a good laugh.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Nope, they're still there. You can see them 7 days a week. They're still on the job.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. But Ash, I have to tell you, I am very excited about today.
I am super excited about today because, well, actually, how sciencey are we getting today?
I think you might be surprised at how this isn't going to be like the tour that we talked about in the Exploring Mammoth Cave.
That's what I was worried about. I'm like, please not a full hour of geology.
No.
We got to do a little bit, though.
Well, for sure. Absolutely.
Geology is a big part of Mammoth Cave.
Yeah.
So.
Well, honestly, October is like the perfect month for me to want to do a cave. It's just the right month. I don't know. Halloween is in this month.
Okay.
And I love Halloween.
Mammoth Cave is haunted.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
It's true.
And every time we do one of our haunted episodes, which is coming up, we're doing another one this year, there's like always a story we could share from Mammoth Cave. There's a bunch of haunted Mammoth Cave stories. So.
I know. It's going to be fun this year.
Anyway, even if you don't visit in October, it's still haunted. Haunted year-round.
Yeah, just like the animals in Yellowstone.
Yep.
They're there year-round. They're always there. But I think I'm so excited to start out this episode talking about Mammoth Cave because I'm just so excited to talk about the mines of Moria.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Mammoth Cave National Park.
My real question should have been, how nerdy are we getting this Fun Facts episode?
I always think that I could go more, and I hold myself back.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But seriously, you had to know that the mines of Moria were probably going to come up today. There's really only 3 options. Mammoth Cave, Carlsbad Caverns, or Wind Cave.
And
right?
Mammoth Cave definitely has more Mines of Moria ambiance, I would say, for sure.
Ash is afraid to go into those mines. The dwarves delved too greedily and too deep. She knows what they awoke in the darkness of Khazad-dûm. Shadow and flame. I'm so excited. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Mines of Moria are from The Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm referencing. Probably the most epic cave in all of literature, ever. Any human story ever told with a cave.
Are you waiting for me to disagree?
Yes, I was.
He's looking at me with that face. Like, dare to disagree with me, Ash. I'm not. I'm good.
If you're not familiar with the Lord of the Rings story, I'll catch you up real fast. A small group of heroes are on a secret mission to destroy a magical but evil object, and there is only one place where it can be destroyed. Along their journey, they encounter a huge obstacle, the Misty Mountains, at which point they have 3 options. They can either go around the mountains, which is probably the shortest and easiest route, but probably the most dangerous because it takes them right past an evil wizard who wants the object for himself. Or they have 2 other options. They can either climb up and over the mountains, or they can travel under them through the mines of Moria. Long story short, they end up going through the mines, but it's a dangerous 4-day journey to the other side, and things do not go as planned. But I love this part of the movie. I was listening to like the ambiance from the music for this part of the movie for like the whole time that I was preparing for this episode. But I can't think of a better comparison to Mammoth Cave than the Mines of Moria. There are a few other comparisons that I'm sure will come up through today's episode, but the complex and rich history of Moria, the sheer size and the endless passageways, it really only has one parallel to reality, which is Mammoth Cave. And that made me sound a little crazy. Parallel to reality. Moria has been used by all kinds of people for thousands of years. Mammoth Cave has been used by all kinds of people for thousands of years. It's been mined for minerals, just like Mammoth Cave. People have fought wars over it. There have been cave wars around Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave doesn't have a whole lot of decorations, which we kind of talked about in the exploration episode. Moria doesn't really seem to have a whole lot of decorations. The scene right after they enter Moria, the rocks come crashing down behind them. The lights go out. There's a 3-minute section of that first movie where they might as well be in Mammoth Cave. I'm telling you, because Gandalf lights up his staff and then he quietly instructs the group to be on their guard because there are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. And then it's at that point that the film zooms out and you see just how expansive Moria is. Passageway after passageway, big rooms, small rooms, tight passages, deep pits, sheer cliffs. And at a certain point, the path leads the group alarmingly close to the edge of an endless drop-off. And at this point, Gandalf stretches out his staff over the edge so that the group can see just how vast and deep the cave really is. The light from his staff reveals layer after layer, level after level, deeper and deeper, until the light fades away off into the distance. That, my friends, is Mammoth Cave. An endless labyrinth of tunnels and caves going off in all directions. An adventure that takes you from the comfort and light and warmth of the surface and leads you deep into the cold, dark, and often uncomfortable unknown. I'm just so excited. I love
It's true, though. It's true. I see the parallels. Yeah. I'm with you on this.
Okay, perfect. But let's get to some fun facts so that this doesn't all just seem like riddles in the dark, if you catch that reference.
Nope. No idea.
Okay, fun fact number 1, and I'm only going to give you half of it at first, Ash, is that Mammoth Cave is the longest cave system in the world.
Isn't that crazy?
Right here in America.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Right in Kentucky.
Yeah.
I love it. Now, it's really cool to say that it's the longest cave system in the world, but really without some context, you don't really realize how big it really is. So here's some context for you. The world's top 10 longest cave systems. Number 10, Fisher Ridge Cave in Kentucky as well, 131 miles.
Okay.
Number 9, Lechuguilla Cave, New Mexico.
That one's by Carlsbad.
Yep, 150 miles.
Okay.
Number 8, Clearwater Cave in Malaysia. It's 159. I don't know how to pronounce this one. Optimischina Cave, 164 miles. That's in Ukraine. And then 2 of our favorites, Wind Cave and Jewel Cave in South Dakota. Those are 167 and 220 miles. Shuanghe Cave in China, 259. And then you got 2 in Mexico. These are interesting because they're underwater caves. But Sac Actun is 234 and Oxbelha is 308 miles.
Okay.
Then you get to number 1.
So number 2 is 308.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mammoth Cave is 426 miles.
Boom.
That's like the entire number 10.
Yeah, it's like a third more than the next closest cave.
I know. It's not even close. It just blows the other caves out of the water completely. And 426 miles. That's actually longer, depending on how you measure, that's longer than the state of Kentucky itself.
Right, because when you're looking at caves, you're looking at layers of passages, kind of like what you mentioned with Moria. It's like there was layers upon layers of places you could go.
Right.
And that's how these caves are. And that's why there can be so many miles in a relatively small area because it's layers.
It's honeycombed. This place is incredible. And we'll kind of get to some of that in a few minutes and some of these other fun facts. But my question is, how did it get there? Like, what is so special about this little pocket of the country where Kentucky has 2 of the world's longest caves?
Yeah, that is crazy.
And Mammoth Cave, 4 times longer, basically, than the other one. And so, I don't know, it's so cool. But the truth is, it's cool, but it's also concerning because it makes you wonder, like, what's underneath me?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever thought about that question very much. I don't think I really internalized the first few times I was there, just that this was even the longest cave in the world.
Right.
I think it's the biggest one in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, I mean, I know the passages are big, like just when you're standing in one, how tall and wide the passages are.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't thinking about the length and how much of the cave was actually there.
Right.
So,
exactly.
You know, now that I've internalized that more, it's just like, it's insane. It's insane that there can be 400 miles of cave, 400 plus miles of cave in this area. And then if you go in the visitor center and you start internalizing that, then you'll start to see things like why.
Yeah. Well, and what's amazing is the cave tours that you can take, you're only exploring a teeny tiny percentage of the entire expanse of the cave.
Yeah, because the Grand Avenue tour, which is the longest one that's not the wild one, where you're just kind of, you know, squeezing through passages. It's like an actual ranger-led walking tour. That one's 4 hours and 4 miles.
Yeah.
And that's a very long tour. And it's a very long time to be in the cave.
Yeah.
And you're 4 miles
That's
out of
1%.
Yeah.
1%. And a lot of the explorers that are still mapping and surveying cave passages, a lot of them have been quoted as, there's no end in sight, you guys. We're still going.
Well, and how do they do that? Because at some point you get deep enough that you can't just like go in and find something new in a day or two.
Right.
It's like you're backpacking and you're spending so much time in the cave as you work your way through newer areas that haven't been discovered yet.
Just like Gandalf said, it's a 4-day journey to the other side.
Yeah, longer than that in Mammoth Cave.
Yeah, on a good trail, you know, you and I might do 15 to 20 miles if we weren't carrying a super heavy backpack and things like that. But going through cave passages?
Totally different.
Oh my gosh, that'd be insane. Okay, so let's get back to where this cave came from and what makes this part of the world so special. There's a term we need to learn, and it's called karst. And we've experienced karst in lots of different places. You can see karst actually at the Everglades. You can see karst in places around the world. It's a type of landscape where the bedrock dissolves.
Okay.
And so you might not even know it's happening and underneath you, which is why I think it's a little bit concerning. But there are some telltale signs that you're in a karst landscape.
Sinkholes?
Yes. Sinkholes are a big one.
Yikes.
And so if you ever see, like at Mammoth Cave, they often show you aerial views of the landscape. So you can actually see how kind of pockmarked and potholed and sinkholed the whole landscape looks.
Yeah, they have a whole display at the visitor center where you can see, they call it like the surface of Kentucky is like the surface of a golf ball. Where it just has little divots all over the place. And yeah, you can see it, you know, in the visitor center. They kind of show you where and show pictures and have a display about it. And once I knew what I was looking at, because like I said, I'd been there a couple of times and just didn't even really understand what I was looking at. But once I knew and I saw that again, it is a little scary. I'm not going to lie.
I'm not going to buy a house there.
I'm like, well, I guess if you were on one of the ridges that was in between the pockmarks, maybe. But yeah, there are a ton of divots in the surface of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Like a golf ball.
It's really cool, especially when you know that you're looking for that and you're driving to Mammoth Cave and you're seeing all this farmland and things like that, and you can see the contours of the land. It's really interesting. But there's some other telltale signs as well. Some of them are like water disappearing, like streams that just kind of disappear into the ground.
Yeah.
Or rivers that do the same thing. And then some other places where water just like comes out of a hill.
Yeah.
And different springs and things like that. It's really interesting. But in order to have a karst landscape like this, you have to have the right ingredients. And karst is usually associated with soluble rocks like limestone, marble, and gypsum. So let's go back 330 million years. Ash, where was Mammoth Cave and most of Kentucky?
Under a shallow sea.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. Our favorite answer, under a shallow sea. When you're under a shallow sea, there's something very specific that happens in regards to geology. Deposition. Minerals and sediments slowly and softly settle to the bottom of the sea, and over time, they cement together into a strong and sturdy layer of rock. You can also get a lot of sea creatures like coral that build up over time and add to and become part of those layers. Well, the glue that held those layers and minerals and sediments and corals and all the sea creatures together and formed them into one big strong layer, the cement that did that is calcium carbonate. And when calcium carbonate acts as that cementing force, then we call it limestone. And layer after layer of this limestone built up over more than 10 million years until something in the environment changed. The sea level changed. The sea level dropped. And then the sea level came back up, and then the sea level dropped, and then it came back up. There was a river that shifted its course. And so all of a sudden you have right over the top of Mammoth Cave, a river delta depositing tons and tons of different sediments all around the area of Kentucky. And so the sea level shifts created more of a shale, and the river created a sandstone. And the shifting between the two, the top, as you explore Mammoth Cave today, as you go around the surface, what you'll see, if you see any of the kind of exposed rock, generally speaking, you're seeing like layers of mixed shale and sandstone. And that kind of acts as the cap rock on top of all of that 10 million years worth of limestone. But as we've explored the country, Ash, we've been to a lot of different national parks. We've seen lots of different kinds of rock and how it reacts. Limestone and sandstone are totally different. They react totally different to different types of things. And the shale as well will react differently. Sandstone is kind of porous, and so it kind of lets water through. But shale is basically waterproof. The sandstone and the shale together made this really strong and waterproof shield over the top of all of this limestone. And then, what's kind of amazing is that nothing happened to it for like 300 million years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like Kentucky itself, all of Kentucky is missing more than 200 million years of geologic history. It all eroded away. Maybe there were glaciers. We don't know exactly what happened because there's nothing there for 200 million years. And other sections like this Mammoth Cave area are missing even more. Because as you explore the area, all you have is that 310-year-old shale and sandstone on top of 330 million year old limestone. That's basically all you have.
Interesting.
But then something changed about 10 to 15 million years ago. Suddenly water that had been held back by that waterproof shale layer started to break through. Not everywhere, only in a few places here and there, like the leaking of a faucet. Drips and drops of rain found their way through the sandstone and shale layers above the limestone in very specific spots. But the rain picked up something very special as it fell from the sky and seeped through the rocks and soil: carbon dioxide. And when you add carbon dioxide to water, it becomes slightly acidic, sometimes even fizzy like soda, and it's called carbonic acid. And if you add 23 flavors, Ash has her favorite mommy drink.
Dr. Pepper.
Exactly. And all of this becomes very important once this slightly acidic water reaches the limestone layer. If you remember back, limestone is cemented together by calcium carbonate. The kryptonite of calcium carbonate is carbonic acid. We've experienced this battle between carbonic acid and calcium carbonate in caves all over the country.
Mm-hmm. That's a very normal way to make caves.
Exactly. But remember, only a few drips and drops are getting through at this point. It's not like we're stabbing Superman with a spear made from kryptonite. We're simply lightly misting it, like Lex Luthor playing the long game. So for a couple million years, we have drips and drops of slightly acidic acid seeping into the limestone, navigating through any crack it can find on its journey. And all the while, it's doing just a little bit of work, one drop at a time, navigating through rocks, navigating through cracks and crevices, dissolving little bits along the way so that the path is larger and easier for the next drip, which makes it larger and easier for the next drip, and so on, until the cracks and crevices have dissolved enough to now make a chute or a tube. And then after a few more million years, enough water is getting through the shale and sandstone at the top that it widens into a depression like a sinkhole. And then the chutes of the limestone turn into channels, and then eventually, after several million years, a lot of different chutes and channels from the surface come together underground, deep in the limestone, and connect with one another to create underground tunnels with literal rivers running through them that keep doing the work of dissolving the limestone. So the tunnels keep getting larger and larger, and if you have been to Mammoth Cave, you can see that some of these tunnels are easily large enough to drive a semi-truck through them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's incredible. Oh my gosh, the dissolving power of this slightly acidic water over time is so cool. That's why they call caves that form in this way, they call them solution caves. Because it's all about the dissolving power and the soluble rocks and things that they create a solution, kind of like a tonic or a soda water kind of a thing. I don't know. I think the name is kind of confusing because the word solution has multiple meanings. They should call it like a potion cave or something like that, because
that's definitely more along the lines of your imagination.
Exactly.
A potion cave.
Yes.
Nice.
But the story's not over there. If that was the whole story, that would be cool enough.
If that was the whole story, then you would have something more similar to what all the other caves look like.
Exactly. It'd be more two-dimensional.
Yeah.
If that was the whole story. But you talked about earlier how there's so many different layers. And it's kind of like it's a honeycomb. It's a three-dimensional cave. So for this next part, we get to talk about two of my favorite things when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
Ice cream and one of my favorite computer games. And this is a famous line from it. "Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen." I just woke up a bunch of gamers from 1997 because in 1997, Diablo was one of the best-selling games of the year. And I had to play it at my friend Peter's house because it was a little dark for my house.
Your mom wouldn't allow it in her house.
Exactly. But 1997 was a good year. Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba came out.
Nice.
Same with Men in Black. You'll really like this one. Everybody.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, that was not nearly excited enough.
Well, I didn't want to sing. I'm not feeling my singing voice today.
Okay. As Long as You Love Me was on that same.
Backstreet Boys.
There we go.
I love the Backstreet Boys.
Oh, I know. It's so good.
There we go.
All right. So anyways, back to ice cream. And Ash, I know you love ice cream, so you can help me out with this. I prefer ice cream in a cup. I never get it in the cones. Even the classy waffle cone kinds, I just don't think they're that good. Ash, on the other hand, loves a good waffle cone.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the only reason that they are not a big waste of money and calories, because it gives my wife joy.
But John's not allowed to buy one because they always cost extra and he doesn't appreciate it.
Exactly. Which is why our kids did not get lobster in Acadia. They do not
True.
appreciate it.
Nope. They were like, it's okay. And we're like, okay, no lobster for you. Costs way too much to only kind of like it.
Exactly. For this example to work, you have to eat the ice cream my way, in a cup with a spoon. Okay. And I bet just about everybody who has ever eaten ice cream has had this exact experience. As long as the person dishing the ice cream wasn't too
Stingy.
skimpy or stingy on the scoops. So anyways, Ash, you've got the ice cream and you've got the spoon. As the ice cream melts, what are the best practices for eating said ice cream?
You got to go around the edge where it's melting and get it before it turns to liquidy.
And then it like just pours over the side and
Yep.
makes a giant mess, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's perfect. That was exactly what I was hoping. You take the spoon and you make kind of a moat around the main ice cream scoop. That way, you don't make a mess. And as the ice cream continues to melt, you keep digging out the moat around the main body of ice cream, and it generally just keeps getting deeper and deeper, and you really love the ice cream. It's so good. That is basically what is happening at Mammoth Cave. As the water was doing work and dissolving tunnels and channels underground, it was also doing regular stuff on the surface, creating ponds, streams, creeks, rivers, everything like that. And
so you have the main bulk of the rock. See if I'm right. See if I'm following.
Ooh, I'm excited. Yeah.
If you have the main bulk of the rock kind of in the middle, like the ice cream scoop that hasn't melted yet. And then you have all the water and all the stuff kind of melting off and sitting. You have water around the edges.
Yep. Exactly.
Right?
You're crushing it.
Okay.
So that's exactly what happens. All the water rushes off the surface and gathers in the rivers and the moat around the main body of land at Mammoth Cave. Okay. And then the rivers take it to the Ohio River, which takes it to the Mississippi, all the way out to the ocean. Okay. So the water really is on quite a journey. Now, in this case, we're talking about Mammoth Cave and about the Green River, which goes right through Mammoth Cave National Park. You talked about kayaking on the last episode.
No. This is messing with my brain because now that I'm thinking about, that's a big river. And it's got to be going on top of the cave.
Okay.
Right?
Keep going.
400 miles of cave. Like, there's no way that river is not flowing on top of a cave.
Okay, let's talk about this for just a second. Well, maybe we'll get there.
It's a big river, and it's right next to the cave entrance. I mean, it's...
Yep.
What, 100 yards away?
It's really not
Probably
that far.
It's really close.
It's amazing. You have to imagine the surface water is like the ice cream. But the ice cream example doesn't give us any information about what's happening underground.
Right.
With the water and how it relates to that river, because the Green River controls something that brings me to that computer game Diablo. As the river carves deeper and deeper into the earth, it causes the water table to drop with it. Because all of the water in the land wants to drain to the lowest possible point, right?
Right.
And so water likes to go with the flow, likes to go with gravity as it pulls it out of the land. And then it takes it to the river and out to the ocean. So how does that relate to the computer game? The ice cream taught us about the surface. In the game Diablo, let me just kind of give it a little intro here. You choose your character and you start out wandering around and meeting people in this sad little town called Tristram. You quickly learn that terrible things happened here. And as a hero, you try to help them. But helping them means that you put yourself in danger by fighting the evil that turned this once prosperous town into nothing more than ruins. And so you go on mission after mission, doing things for different townspeople, and each time you go on a new mission to find a certain object or to defeat a certain creature, you end up going underground. You start at the ground level in the cathedral, and then your mission takes you down the stairs to the dungeons. And after you complete that mission, your objective changes again, and soon you go even deeper into the catacombs. And when you finish there, the objective yet again changes, and you find yourself deeper underground, wandering the many passageways of caves. Ultimately, the game takes you through 4 main levels that take you deeper and deeper into the underworld as you follow your missions and chase your goals. The dungeons, the catacombs, the caves. And then you reach the lowest and final level But I won't spoil that for you in case you want to play it for yourself. But it's intense. But in this underground story of water in Mammoth Cave, the surface water acts like the melted ice cream, and the underground water follows the hero's story in Diablo. As the Green River digs its canyons deeper and deeper, so too do the little drops of carbonic acid. They dig out and dissolve out the limestone, massive tunnels. They make it easy for rivers of water to empty out into the Green River.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Green River drops far enough, those tunnels become dry as a bone.
Yeah, which is why we can walk through them now.
Exactly, because the water abandons these higher tunnels as soon as they become obsolete. And if the Green River drops too far, like the mission has changed, the water now has to carve new, deeper tunnels and find new cracks and crevices to dissolve into wider and bigger passages, and it has to start all over again. Which brings me to fun fact number 2. Fun fact number 2 is that there are currently 5 distinct levels or passageways within Mammoth Cave, 4 abandoned fossil levels, plus the modern river level, which is the lowest level located over 300 feet beneath the surface. So, to answer your question, what do you think the answer to your question is?
I think that as the Green River drops with gravity and carves, then I don't think it has caves underneath it. I think it is determining the level of where the caves are at.
Correct. There are tons and tons of passageways because the water, it's not just like highways finding straight lines here and there.
Yeah.
The drips and drops of carbonic acid water, they have to follow existing cracks that's already in the limestone, and it's like crazy hair day when you're in 3rd grade. There was this girl that had like wires in her hair, and the hair is just going everywhere.
Yeah.
The cracks are all over the place, all different directions, but they do have distinct levels.
And they're trying to work their way with gravity too. So as the water levels drop, that water's all trying to get down to where the river is.
Exactly.
And you can see that when you hike to like the River Styx Spring,
mm-hmm.
you can see where the river is coming out of the caves and meeting up, going down into the Green River from there. So
yeah,
I guess I never thought about how much carving the Green River has probably done. Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, well, yeah, you are kind of up higher than the river. You're hiking higher. You're in the cave higher.
Uh-huh.
And so...
Yep. You're way higher than the river in some of the cave levels.
Yeah.
And the river itself is itself carving through limestone.
Yeah.
It's just on the surface limestone.
Yeah.
And so it's doing a lot of work, but it's just like Diablo. You have the dungeons, and then you descend to the catacombs, and then you get to the caves, and you keep going down level after level. And it's just like, in a lot of ways, it's like Greek mythology, because in Greek mythology, there are 5 rivers that connect in the center of the underworld in Hades.
Okay.
Which is why we call one of the rivers the River Styx. And what's so cool, this kind of jumps ahead to some of the human history of the cave. The River Styx in Mammoth Cave, they actually used to take boat tours on that river.
Yeah, I know. I know.
And in Greek mythology, like if someone passed away, they thought that in order for their soul to reach the afterlife, they had to take a ferry on the River Styx in order to transport their soul safely to the underworld. Otherwise, they would haunt the shores and haunt the living until Hades gave them a reprieve. But it's not just the River Styx. There's at least 4 different rivers that I found. I wasn't able to find like a complete list or a full map. It's so hard to get a full map of Mammoth Cave.
Yeah.
There's at least 4 different rivers on the bottom river level of Mammoth Cave.
And that's what's crazy, is that there is a river level at Mammoth Cave. There are rivers flowing at the bottom of the cave that we know it today.
Right.
So the River Styx, I know the Echo River. What are the other ones?
So
do they have names?
Yes. So you have the River Styx, you have the Echo River, there's Roaring River, and there's River Acheron.
Oh, yeah, I've never heard of those other 2.
Yeah. Acheron is actually another Greek mythological name.
Okay.
It's another one of those underworld rivers.
Cool.
It's so cool. It's just so much fun. I just love this cave, especially if you have an active imagination.
Mhm.
Like, the cave environment here is just, it's overwhelming. There's so many ideas you can have and so many cool adventures you can have as you're drawn deeper and deeper into this cave underworld. And it's just so much fun. Which brings us to fun fact number 3. So we're going to leave the science behind. I think we've got a good grasp. I know we've been talking about science for a long time, but now I think we have a really good grasp of how everything formed.
Well, one more thing before we leave then, because I did learn this on the River Styx tour that I've been griping about because we got to see the river, right, which was awesome. But so most caves, they do have the solution, the potion caves.
Right, exactly.
Where the acid is interacting with the stone, the limestone. Well, at Mammoth Cave, and this is where I think it is unique. I've never heard anyone else tell me this has happened in their cave, but not to say it doesn't happen in other caves. But you had passageways carved by the regular process, right? The carbonic acid and stuff. But then the rivers are what really came through and just opened up the spaces so they're so massive.
Right.
Right? So it was both.
Yeah, the acid is doing chemical erosion, but the rivers are also doing just regular erosion.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, as you're walking through Mammoth Cave and you're just looking and like, holy smokes, like these passages are huge, bigger than anything I've ever seen. That's the river part of it.
Yeah.
Is the rivers actually came through running water and just like accelerated that erosion process. So anyway, you have to have both for this cave. And that's why it's so mammoth. Anyway, I also want to point out that I think your fun fact number 1 broke a record for being the longest fun fact we've ever done in any fun facts episode.
Well, it's because I had like 19 other fun facts in it. And so I have a hard time. Like, yes, we only did one fun fact, but there's so many other things you have to learn in order to put it all together.
Yep. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. But just know that if you're not a science lover like John, if you're more like me and it's like your eyes kind of start glazing over sometimes if the science gets too heavy, that's not a normal length of fun fact.
It's true. And I apologize because at the beginning you asked me how geology we were going to be doing. And here we are.
Oh, but we're on fun fact number 3, and he promised less science.
Yes.
So, fun fact number 3, not sciencey?
Nope.
Okay.
Well, you kind of transitioned us perfectly into it because you said this cave was just so mammoth. And I've never actually used a fun fact to disprove something before. So this is 2 new things. Longest first fun fact in history. And a fun fact used to disprove something.
Okay.
Fun fact number 3 is that no actual mammoth has ever been found in Mammoth Cave.
Yes.
Yes.
And they talk about that on the Ranger tours because a lot of people, their mind goes to the animal, the mammoth.
Right.
As to the namesake.
Yeah. But instead, this is a metaphor for how huge this cave is.
It's a thesaurus definition for massive.
Exactly. It's used to convey sheer size. However, they may have not ever found a mammoth, but they have found a mastodon.
Okay.
Which is pretty similar to a mammoth.
Yeah.
But they have also made some other really cool discoveries. Some of the other cool fossils that they've found have been like ancient vampire bats or a saber-toothed cat, giant short-faced bears, huge like extinct armadillos, which is cool. But my favorite, and this really surprised me, sharks.
In Mammoth Cave.
In Mammoth Cave.
Cool.
More than 40 different species of ancient sharks.
Oh, really?
And shark relatives, 6 of which appear to be brand new to science. And so, remember how we talked about how the limestone was formed in a shallow sea?
Yeah.
Well, all of these caves and tunnels, they've been protected and preserved so that as you wander through the passageways, it's like when you're in an aquarium and you kind of get to go through that glass hallway underneath and look up at
and
all
you're seeing all the exposed fossils from that time period.
Yeah, and it's like they're swimming around you.
Okay.
And so you have all of these paleontologists that are going through some of these cave passageways, and they're so excited about sharks too, because normally, like, it's pretty common to find shark teeth.
Okay.
Shark teeth are really hard, and sharks have like a zillion teeth.
Right.
And so it's not unlikely to find shark teeth. But what is rare to find is stuff besides the teeth, because most of a shark's body is cartilage.
Right. Which decomposes quickly.
So fast.
Yeah.
It's soft to begin with.
Yeah.
And so it's really rare to have anything of a shark's body because it just decomposes so fast, 300 million years ago.
Yeah.
But here at Mammoth Cave, they have actually found 2 partial skeletons of sharks, cartilage skeletons of sharks, one of which is the first of its kind in the world.
Why are they not showing me this on my tour?
Because you probably have to go miles and miles into specific places.
Yeah.
Because, like you talked about, those rivers enlarged these caves really big.
Yeah.
And probably took out a lot of stuff.
Also, in the exploring episode, I talked about how important it is to me to be in a smaller group size. Because sometimes the rangers will show you stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That's what's cool. Sometimes if you're walking up by the ranger and you're just walking between places where they'll stop and give their formal presentation, they know about stuff like that, like fossils you can see along the route and stuff like that. And they'll shine their flashlight up there for you if they like you.
Right. That usually, sometimes they just want to get through the tour.
I was a ranger in a cave. And I can tell you, sometimes, like, if you have a good group with you, you just want to share everything. And you know a lot of things that you're not sharing in your formal tour. So,
that's awesome.
Go stand by the ranger. Get in one of those smaller groups. Go stand by the ranger and see if they can show you anything. Or ask lots of questions. Because sometimes our kids will ask questions, like our oldest will be like, "Are there any fossils in this cave?" And then the ranger will be like, "Come up by me and I'll show you one as we walk." Type of thing.
They may have never found a mammoth in this cave, but they have found some really cool things. And the fact that they've found so many sharks here, next time I'm there, I want them to point something out that's sharky.
You could at least ask, and they might know.
Yeah.
They might be able to show you something.
And that's just the dead stuff.
Yeah.
There are tons of cool creatures here. Eyeless fish, see-through Kentucky cave shrimp, cave crickets, bats, crustaceans, and more. Some of which you can only find in the Mammoth Cave system and no other place on Earth.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Mammoth Cave just isn't just a bunch of empty tunnels. The whole experience at Mammoth Cave can be so amazing. You just have to know the right tidbits of information to, like you said, prompt the ranger to be like, "Ooh, I can share this with somebody."
Yep.
But some of these creatures, like some of these cave creatures, they play a really important role in the lives of people. And we're going to talk about those in the next 2 fun facts. We are going to spend 2 fun facts on the human history.
It's worth 2 fun facts.
It is, because this place is crazy. There's so much going on here. I love geology and biology as much or more.
Than the next person. More.
But I'm human, and I love human stories. And the human stories here just move me, the highs and the lows. And this cave has played a role in so many people's lives. And I think it's worth spending a little extra time on. And I mean, just read the book Tom Sawyer, where Tom and Becky get lost in a cave. You can't tell me that wasn't inspired by Mammoth Cave. Or Jesse James and his gang. They actually robbed the Mammoth Cave stagecoach.
Oh, really?
As people were going back and forth between the cave. And like Native American peoples, they used the cave. Some of them even used it as a burial ground. And they actually found some mummified remains of Native American peoples. The cave was used as a hospital, a church. It was a mine for different types of minerals like saltpeter to make gunpowder and guano. People
to make guano, or they used the guano?
They used the guano. They didn't make the guano.
Yeah.
But people have interacted with this cave for thousands of years. And I just thought it would be fun to share some of their stories. And so for fun fact number 4, what I want you to know is that some of the heroes of Mammoth Cave were enslaved people.
Yes. That's a huge part of the history of Mammoth Cave.
Exactly. And, it's so interesting. It's hard to even comprehend kind of as our country's history has progressed and we've taken Thomas Jefferson's word and applied them to as many people as possible. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. It's hard to even comprehend that a lot of the mining operations that happened in Mammoth Cave, or a lot of the early tourist operations, a lot of the people that did the work there were actually leased to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these enslaved individuals were leased from their owners far away and sent to Mammoth Cave to do work. Like the fact that you can even lease somebody is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the people that were leased, or the people that were doing the work, they have amazing stories and they're incredible people. Some of the people that their names have become synonymous with Mammoth Cave, some of these enslaved individuals were as famous as the cave itself. Like Stephen Bishop.
Yeah.
Like people knew his name and they said it in the same sentence as Mammoth Cave all the time.
Yeah.
Because he was incredible. He was responsible for exploring most of the first 11 miles of Mammoth Cave.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it with a lantern.
Yeah.
Like one that would go out and would leave you stranded if you got too far in and couldn't get back out. People told stories about him. He was so smart. He could have taught geology at any university in the country. He picked up things from scientists and politicians and nobility and people of all different walks of life that came to the cave, and he would give them tours, and he was just like absorbing information off of everybody. And that enriched their experiences because he could then like point out all different kinds of things inside the cave.
Mm-hmm. And well, the passages that he discovered were the main passages used for tours and still are.
Exactly.
So you're walking in his footsteps, the tours that he used to give. Those are the tours you're taking today, too.
Exactly. And park rangers nowadays kind of joke that if you're a park ranger at Mammoth Cave, you know more about Stephen Bishop than you do your best friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's such a legend.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hero of Mammoth Cave. And there's one story that I just think is fantastic. So there was a gentleman that came to Mammoth Cave. One of the ways that the tour guides would make money is through tips. And so people would tip them to write their name on the wall or to do different things. Well, this gentleman was like, Stephen, I'll offer you this fistful of money if you take me to somewhere that no one has ever been inside the cave.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the story goes, Stephen Bishop thinks to himself, okay, where am I going to take this guy? And there was a pit that's still there today, and it goes by the same name, Bottomless Pit. It's a 105-foot pit that was so deep and dark that torches would disappear if you threw them into this pit.
Mm-hmm.
And so the craziest idea occurred to Stephen, and he said, okay, I'm going to do this. He lashed a couple of ladders together and he laid it flat across the pit. And with the lantern in his teeth, he crawled across this ladder and he made it to the other side where he could see there was a passageway over there. And he enticed the person to come with him to crawl across this makeshift little bridge made out of lashed together ladders. And they made it to the other side. And they go in there and they discovered things that had never been seen before. they discovered so many things that you see on your tours today because somebody offered him just a handful of cash and he took this really cool, crazy risk.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that is amazing that he did that. On the other side of that pit, that's where you find like Fat Man's Misery and Tall Man's Agony, the Relief Hall, and things like that. And that's where he found like River Styx and the Echo Rivers and things like that. And it's all because he took a gambit and he earned just a little bit of money.
Yeah. Got to get that fistful of cash. My gosh. For all the work he's done.
I know.
Absolutely.
It's so cool. But one of the great things, he did eventually gain his freedom. And he stayed at the cave and continued giving tours because he loved it so much.
Yeah, he's buried there.
Yeah.
So you can actually go see his grave along the Heritage Trail is where you'll find that.
Yeah. A couple other people that I want to mention because they're so cool. Matt Bransford and Nick Bransford. I don't believe they're related, but the reason they have the same last name is because a lot of times they would take the names of their owners.
Right.
And so Matt Bransford, and this is another thing that kind of goes back to the dignity of every human being. Him and his wife had kids, but the owner sold multiple of their kids far away, and they never got to see him again. And it was just really sad. And he would give tours to people, but he eventually did gain his freedom as well. He was a hero. And then Nick, I don't know exactly why, but Nick didn't seem to get the feeling from his owner that he would ever just be given his freedom. So he actually asked the person, he said, "What do I have to do in order to get my freedom papers?" And his owner said, "You give me $400, I'll give you your freedom." $400
Which was an impossible amount of money, probably.
A nickel was like $30 back then. And so what he would do is after he gave tours every night, he would sneak back into the cave, go down 5 layers into the bottom of the cave, get in a boat, and he would catch these eyeless fish or these crustaceans or whatever cave troglobites that were living down there. And he would sell them to the people he was giving tours to.
Oh.
And they would pay him a nickel or a dime. And he literally nickeled and dimed his way to freedom.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh. What do you do with an eyeless fish that you buy?
I don't know. And something that's really interesting, sad but cool at the same time, after he gained his freedom, he moved to Nashville. And he realized after he moved to Nashville, he's like, it doesn't matter that I'm free. People are still treating me pretty poorly. I had respect at Mammoth Cave. I think because he realized it doesn't matter if you're famous. It doesn't matter if you're rich. It doesn't matter if you're European nobility or royalty. Once you enter Mammoth Cave and you're in the dark and you've taken a few left turns.
Right. You love your guide. That guide is the most important person to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he actually left Nashville and he went back to Mammoth Cave because his life was just so much better there.
Yeah.
And now that he was making money as a tour guide, and he was a legend. He was a hero at Mammoth Cave. And I just think that's so cool.
It is so cool.
And so these guys are great. I love these heroes, and you can see a lot of their graves on the surface. There's a cemetery for the old guides.
The old guides, yeah. It's the old guide cemetery right on the surface. And it's a beautiful boardwalk trail through the trees and stuff too. So it's just a really peaceful place.
Yeah.
And it's cool to know more about the people that are buried there.
Yeah. And what's really cool is in 2004, Matt Bransford's great-great-grandson started giving tours at Mammoth Cave.
Oh, that's cool.
So, multi-generational legacy.
Yeah.
Which was fun. Fun fact number 5, we're going to lead into it with a story because I think in a lot of cases, history is actually cooler than legend. Or history is cooler than myth. We've talked about so many different myths and legends, the supernatural, the cool things about being in the cave, right? But the second half of the 20th century was really cool here at Mammoth Cave from 1950 onward. There were some really cool things. If you look at the history of Mammoth Cave, it wasn't just Mammoth Cave itself. There were a whole bunch of other caves all around. And if you look on the park map, you can actually see roads to each of these different caves.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really kind of interesting. But in 1955, there were some explorers that discovered something really cool. They found a connection between two of these caves. They found that Crystal Cave was actually connected to Unknown Cave.
Is that the real name?
Yeah, it's actually its real name, Unknown Cave.
Okay.
5 years later, in 1960, a bunch of other explorers, they found a connection between Colossal Cave and Salt's Cave. And then in 1961, Salt's Cave was connected to Unknown Cave. And so you have all of these, what were previously thought to be just individual caves. As explorers really kind of surveyed and explored them, they found that they were all part of the same cave system. And so you have Crystal, Unknown, Colossal, and Salt's Cave. They all came to be called the Flint Ridge Cave System. And before 1972, that was actually the longest cave system in the world. It had like 86 miles of passageways, and Mammoth Cave only had like 57.
Okay.
And so that was the cave system. But a lot of these explorers thought, if we can connect all of these caves, there's got to be a connection somewhere, right? There's got to be a connection somewhere between the Flint Cave System and the Mammoth Cave System. And so they spent years and years exploring different new passageways, squeezing through little holes in the rocks, trying to see if they could find anything anywhere where they might connect. Apparently there's like an exploring season where a lot of these cavers, probably like when the water table is at its lowest, so that some of the passageways aren't flooded with water and they might be able to get through. In 1972, in September, it was supposed to be the last outing of the year. And these cavers, they were in there and they spotted something that suddenly just like shook their whole worlds. There was a little mud embankment where they saw initials of a couple of explorers, Leo Hunt and Pete Hansen. And they knew those guys were Mammoth Cavers. And so they thought, oh my gosh, how did they get here? But they'd already been in the cave for hours and hours and hours. They didn't have the resources to try to explore anymore. So a week later, they thought, let's give it one last shot. Let's try to make it back to where those initials were, and let's see if we can find the connection. And so on September 9th, they entered the Flint Ridge side of the cave system. And for 12 hours, they went through little passages. They traced their path back to where they saw those initials. And they were so tired. I mean, they were on a mission. They wanted to get it done, and they all needed to get back. A lot of them were students, and they needed to go back to school, wherever they were across the country and things like that. And so after about 12 hours, it was a team of 6 people. And the leader of the group, they found the initials, but the passageway that they were thinking of exploring was all water. And so the leader was looking at his team of exhausted explorers, and he's like, let me get in there. Let me see if I can find anything. And so on his own, he wades into the water. He gets up to almost to his chest. And as a caver, you really want to keep your chest dry to kind of keep you from getting hypothermia. And so that's why he was doing it by himself, because he was getting really wet. He gets into the water and he keeps walking and he keeps walking. And a lot of times, if it's not going to lead anywhere, you just turn around really quickly. The people he was with, they wanted to know, are you finding anything? Because he just kept walking. He kept walking and he kept walking. And all of a sudden, the passageway that he was in, it just opened right up, surprisingly. And he's got the light on his hard hat, and he's looking around, and all of a sudden he says he sees the shadow of a really straight line going across the room. And he knows that doesn't naturally happen in caves. You don't have perfectly horizontal lines. And as his eyes focused, he started to notice that there were some vertical lines attaching to that shadow, perfectly vertical lines. And the more he looked, it was a walkway. It was a railing for a walkway.
Oh.
And so he's looking, and his buddies on the other side of the water, they're like, "What have you found?" And he's like, "It opened up. I can see a passageway." And so they walk over to it. They're in Mammoth Cave. And so, and it's 1:00 in the morning, and they've been caving for more than 12 hours. And where they came out, they call it Hanson's Lost River Connection. But what's amazing, they spent 12 hours meandering through the underworld of the Flint Ridge Cave system. They came out into the Mammoth Cave system, and they took an elevator. They took an elevator back to the top, and no one was there because it was 1:00 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
And they were just so excited. It was a group of 6 people just celebrating by themselves because they made Mammoth Cave the largest cave system in the world that night. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
And they have a video of it. You can actually look at it on YouTube where they tell this story. But it's like, I can't even imagine struggling for 12 hours through one side of the cave and literally taking an elevator out the other side.
There's all these pathways. Oh.
Oh my gosh. And so fun fact number 5 is that September 9th, 1972 is the day that Mammoth Cave became the largest cave system in the world.
Nice.
And I think that's awesome.
And it's held on to its status
Ever
for
since.
a long time.
With no end in sight.
No end in sight and nobody close to catching up.
Nope. Oh.
Not unless they can, well, even still, it wouldn't be there. I was going to say, not unless they can find the connection between Jewel Cave and Wind Cave.
Yeah, but the math doesn't even work there, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. We asked rangers about that last time we were in South Dakota because they're pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, are they going to connect?
Maybe. You never know.
But it still wouldn't be longer than Mammoth Cave.
I know. Mammoth Cave is a behemoth. It is a monster in terms of its size. And so I'm so glad. Thank you for joining us today for this episode. And Ash, thanks for being my bud along this one.
My eyes didn't glaze over. It was a doozy there for a minute, but I hung on. I was doing good. And John will not like me for saying this, but he got teary-eyed when he was talking about the enslaved tour guides. And how the respect that they had at the cave that they wouldn't have gotten other places. So anyway, cute. So cute. I know, just so many stories. It really is a place that is just incredibly special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people just don't even realize how special it is. Even when you go through the cave a time or two.
Yeah.
It takes some digging. You got to peel back those layers.
Exactly.
You got to keep working your way down and deeper. Similar to just exploring the cave, You learn more and you appreciate more.
Exactly. So for today's task, I would say, what are you more excited about? Are you excited about seeing the river at the bottom? Are you excited about seeing the massive tubes, the giant tunnels that you can drive semi-trucks through? Or are you excited about learning or the human experience that has been going on here for thousands of years?
We barely scratched the surface.
You can do all of those different things on different tours.
Yep.
In Mammoth Cave.
Yep. So many options. So head over to the Dirt in My Shoes Facebook or Instagram page and chime in. We want to know. We want to hear about your experiences as well.
Yeah.
It's just such a cool place. And you guys, you truly are the best for listening to this podcast and coming along this journey with us. We love having you here. Thank you for your reviews. We've been reading them. I wish we could comment on them where you leave them, but we can't.
Right.
We just have to read them and giggle. So you guys are the best. You're our people. We love you. Please leave us a 5-star review if you've been enjoying the podcast and go get some dirt in your shoes.